You're listening to an East Coast Guild podcast. Check us out at eastcoastguild.com.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome back to another episode of Organization 2. This is episode 6, a week after KH3 has come out. Oh, my lordy.
Yeah.
It has been an interesting week. My stream schedule this week was about 30 hours of Kingdom Hearts.
Jesus.
Yeah. Starting on Tuesday, when it came out, I went for about 8 hours on Tuesday. I went about 4 or 5 on Wednesday and Thursday. Then I went for... We don't need to talk about how long I went on Friday.
I don't feel like doing the math, but it was about 8.
It was 9.5.
It was
9.5 hours on Friday. And then yesterday... So I finished the game in 24 hours on the... I'm the quickest out of my friends so far.
Yeah, you are.
The second fastest was Crypto, and he did it in 28. So I beat him by 4 hours. And I beat Pat by about 7 hours. Pat was done in 31.
And both of you are going to be beat for me.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I also went through it quick because I was trying to stream it and trying to get past all the stuff, because now I'm past it so, like, Pixel can come and hang out because I don't have any spoilers.
Yeah.
Like, battle gates, fights, I don't call those spoilers. Those aren't spoilers.
No, they're just redoing
They're just refights. They're doing tough fights. It's like watching somebody do the data fights. That's not a spoiler. The data fights are extra fights. You know there's going to be secret bosses in the end. Mm-hmm. So that and like the Fantastic challenges, getting Ultima, I don't see any of that as spoilers. I see it more as a guide.
Yeah. Like
a live guide on how to do some things. Because I had some people who were right behind me when I was doing it. They're like, I'm shadowing you right now. How do you get to this one? And I was like, oh, well, this is how you get to it. And they're like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So, in that aspect, awesome. But yeah. And then...
Also, now that you've beaten it, I feel like... Alright, first you have to 100% beat it.
I'm working on my 100% right now. I started the grind for 100% last night, and we went for about 6 hours.
I was going to say, once you get 100%, and you're on Xbox, correct?
Yeah, I'm 100% on Xbox, so I'm going for all my achievements, and filling up the gummy phone.
Yeah, once you do that and you completely finish it, I would say go through and do it again.
I'm thinking about going through and doing a level 2 run. I'm going to be cheeky, and I'm not going to do a level 1 run. I'm going to do a level 2 run.
Never mind. You don't deserve the praise by Sando.
No, well, I mean, the thing is, there's no crit mode. Crit mode might come out as a DLC. But they have to pretty much redo the entire combat system with all the final bosses.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Because that's why I think they didn't come out with a crit before, was they're like, we don't feel like putting the time in to do a crit.
Mm-hmm. And the crit was only available for essentially KH1 Final Mix and KH2 Final Mix.
Yes.
It was we fixed a couple issues, and in light of that, we changed color, and we added a couple of special
things. We changed a little bit of the color, and then we changed some of the bosses, and... Mm-hmm.
Because some of them were very broken in the base game of itself. So that's why Japan made the Final Mix.
And the data fights were just fun, super broken versions of the broken characters already.
Yeah.
But
that's
nothing feels better than beating something, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I felt so powerless, and you finally beat it, and it's just that relief.
Mm-hmm. That's when crit came around. I wasn't expecting them to do crit again in KH3 until, if for whatever reason they make another like a remix or something like that. I don't think they will.
Well, we haven't seen a roadmap at all, so we have no idea.
Also, it's the first week.
Yeah, it's the first week. We haven't seen we haven't seen a roadmap, so we have no idea what they're planning on doing.
No.
I doubt they'd come out with a roadmap. Squeenix has never done that.
No.
I did find it interesting. Well, I see. So, we're not going to talk spoilers, and so I don't want to say the thing I just thought of, because I guess it could be considered a spoiler, even though once you get to, like, San Fran, Tokyo, you kind of realize that this is going on.
Gotcha. So where I'm at.
About where you're at.
I haven't beaten the game yet. I know what happens in the very end of the game because I'm dumb, and
Yeah, he also may or may not have watched me do some of the final battles. Those ones suck, by the way. Just so you're aware. I'm not going to tell anybody what fights they are. You know what they are, but the last ones you watched me get, they kind of suck. They're not terrible, but they're not fun.
Not bad, but it's because...
It's because of the worlds that they're in.
Well, I was going to say, it's because Sora's by himself.
Yes. That too. But, I mean...
There's other points throughout the game where Sora's by himself.
And it wasn't bad, but that one's... I think my worst world was probably Toy Story, though.
I didn't see that one. Okay.
No, I'm just saying my worst world personally was Toy Story, only because... and I'm not... I mean, I don't mind talking about the enemies. I don't feel like enemies are a spoiler. But the robots, because that was shown, especially in one of the trailers, the robots are really tough to fight for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but they were just... They were the toughest part for me to fight.
There were 3 variants of the robots. There is one that is a...
Purple, blue, and red.
Mm-hmm. Red, which is a brawler. Blue, which was a machine
Cannon
gun.
launcher.
No, that was purple.
No, purple had literally the thing on purple and on blue. They were both called cannons,
Mm-hmm.
but one was cannonballs and the other was a laser cannon.
Okay, fair.
Actually, I think purple's was called actually laser cannon.
Okay.
We could go back and check. I could turn on the Xbox, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But it was the fact of the blue one shot out two sets of 3 explosive bombs.
Yeah, he was the bomber, what I call,
Yeah.
and the other one was laser.
Yeah, he was a laser cannon dude.
The only one I ever had issues was with the purple one. It's just because if he got far enough away, even if because you can get into those mechs and you can control them, you have all their
I have no problem if I can get into a mech, but there's a lot of times where I couldn't find a mech quickly, and so fighting them without a mech sucks.
So specifically the purple one, I've realized the delay for the enemy is like almost no delay between their triangle attack,
Yeah.
which is their main attack. For the purple is the laser. There's almost no delay from when it starts to it ends.
Yeah.
But when you're in the suit, it takes a couple of seconds for it to go through. That's the biggest issue I had with those. Because the blue ones aren't bad. You just rush them, they're dead.
Yeah.
The red ones, you shoot them off from a distance, they're dead.
See, I actually liked playing and fighting as the red one.
I enjoyed the blue one.
The blue one was pretty good
Just
too.
because it's rate of fire.
Yeah. But the red ones, I enjoyed the red ones probably the most. Anyway, to let you guys know, we're not planning on having any spoilers, and if we say something and you consider it a spoiler, we're sorry. We're going by our definition, so talking about like enemies, first impressions, stuff like that. Like, we're not talking story or lore.
Yeah, we're not.
Story and lore, that spoils. If I talk about enemies, I mean, even talking about bosses, I would argue to say some of that could be like final bosses could be spoilers. But I think world bosses, anything that's considered a heartless or was created from a heartless or a nobody or an unversed, is not really a spoiler. So I'm going to throw that out there now, just in case you guys want to avoid it. We will be undoing our embargo on the story and lore in
A later podcast.
episode 8 will probably be when we start talking spoilers.
Okay.
So this is episode 6, episode 7, and then episode 8 will be 3 or 4 weeks out. So we'll go and we'll do it then. That'll probably be the plan.
I was going to ask a question. Since all of the world, well, not all of the worlds, but the main worlds are all Disney. One comment I have about the Disney worlds, and I don't know if I would say this is spoiler or not, because it's a Disney movie.
If it's a Disney movie, I won't count it as a spoiler.
Okay.
I mean, if it's as long as it has nothing to do with the Kingdom Hearts lore.
From what I've understood throughout the community, for certain, like the newer movies, the Caribbeans, you got Frozen and Tangled.
Yes.
What happens in those goes with the movie.
For the most part, yes.
For the most part, yes.
Pirates skipped a lot.
Yes.
They skipped a lot through that movie.
Toy Story, so Toy Box and Monsters Inc. What
they were post.
Yes, everything that happened. So for Monsters.
Well, I don't know about Toy Story. Toy Story seemed like it was between Toy Story 2 and 3.
To me, it was between 1 and 2.
It could have been between 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely was not. No, it would have been 1 and 2 because Jesse wasn't there.
Yeah, Jesse and
Buckeye or whatever.
Buckeye was the horse. I don't remember what the old man's name was.
Old Pete.
Old Pete, yeah.
But yeah, I'd say probably between 1 and 2. Because they were still in Andy's. Andy's bedroom was an area.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
And it still had
if you've seen Toy Story 3, which it's been out for years,
Mm-hmm.
I feel no remorse saying this, they leave Andy.
Mm-hmm.
Or Andy leaves them.
Yes.
So with that aspect being there, it definitely was not post Toy Story 3.
And the other reason I say it's between 1 and 2 is because between 1 Andy was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old. 2, he was maybe a couple of years older.
Yeah, he was
Because Molly was older. The reason Jesse was in Cage, not Cage,
wasn't
Toy Story 2 was because Molly was older and she could get another doll, which was Jessie.
Yeah. And she ended up, that's how they got to keep Jessie.
Yes.
Or explain why they got to keep her.
So, in game, a lot of the stuff that's in Andy's room would make sense that Molly's not old enough yet.
No, not yet. But that, so yeah, plus the lack of characters. And then
Monsters
Inc. was after Monsters Inc.
Yes. One thing
because
I didn't look
of
up.
stuff that came back and whatnot. I don't want to go too far into their story with it, just for kindness sake, but it is post Monsters Inc.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I'll say is because within the first 10 minutes of being there, you find out that Sully is the CEO.
Yeah, doesn't that happen actually at the end of Monsters Inc.?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought so.
It does. He ends up taking over, or you think he's going to end up taking over. I don't remember if it was ever specified or not. Either way, the movie's been out. It was out so many years ago.
Also, in Monsters Inc., I'm surprised the CDC is still the same name.
The CDA?
CDA?
Yeah, they're the CDA.
Agency?
Yep, it's an agency.
I thought it was Center. Okay.
No, it's an agency.
Okay.
Trust me, I read a lot.
It is CDA.
I read a lot last night getting those lucky emblems.
It's CDA because one of the Moogle pictures is you have to get a picture of them.
Yeah, there's a bunch of times where you're like, you have to go and, past this CDA guy, or right next to the CDA guy, you can find a lucky emblem. So that was a pain in the butt.
Oh, there's so many good things with KH3.
But, so we want to let you guys know that, and then we're going to talk about our first impressions, how we felt.
The goods, the
and
bads.
the goods, the bads. Basically,
ugly.
with a week of play, which most people.
He's had more play than me.
I have definitely had more play because I'm just under 31 hours.
But at the same time, I've also done a lot more like getting chests and whatnot, so I've seen a lot of side stuff.
Yeah, I have to go do a bunch of like chest getting. That's like 100%ing is what I'm doing next. So like, if you come over and hang out for next Saturday, because usually we stream KH together on Saturdays, I'll probably be playing and getting side stuff, which will be the nice little role reversal because Sando has come out and said that I have to 100% the game before he'll play KH3 for me.
I did?
Yeah, you did because it was a thing of like, yeah, I'm gonna make you play through on the hardest difficulty on your own and get 100% before I acknowledge your existence as a Kingdom Hearts player.
I totally did.
And I was like, well, I beat Axel on level 1 crit, which was a pretty good feat. That's a tough fight. Most people would have given up. I said no.
So I have a question that I'm gonna have to ask you off recording.
Okay. But no, I'm probably not gonna go back to that run.
Okay.
Only because I'm gonna say I'm not gonna go back to the run. I might go back to it. I was talking to some people. They're like, well, I was talking to Sensori while he was streaming today, and he was like,
That's what I was
if you guys don't know, Sensori is a good friend of mine from college, one of my best friends, and he
is also a nerd.
And I don't know why him and I had not talked about Kingdom Hearts as much. I mean, he's not as diehard as I am, but he's still a fan of the series. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why we didn't talk as much about it. But we were talking while he was streaming today because nobody else was really there, so I was talking to him about stuff. And we were just talking, and he's like, yeah, you've got like multiple hundreds of hours of content. I was like, I have at least 10 more before I'm done with the game. I was like, it's going to take me a solid probably 10 hours just to get all the battle gates done. And I'm like,
and probably another good 5 to 10 for all the gummy. There's also constellations.
Yeah, I know about the constellations.
I'm
probably gonna look up their locations too.
Oh, you're definitely gonna have to.
Like, I have no problem looking up locations because I don't have the time to put in that some people do.
Especially for the gummy stuff. There's a
lot
for the gummy stuff.
I mean, I have to sit down and do all the gummy missions. I have to do all the Moogle photo missions.
Those
some of
aren't
them,
that bad.
no, but some of them I've done, some of them I haven't. I like that they're not just riddles; they actually tell you what he wants you to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if they were all riddles, that would
suck. Got the Lucky Emblems done. That's Lucky Emblems and I think Story are the two things I have completed in the Gummy Phone right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm only 2 Iridium Plus away from getting Ultima. Which I'm going to be finishing Ultima and starting Gummy stuff I think I'm gonna go Tuesday.
Yeah,
I have to talk to Panda again
Ah,
because he went on a 22-hour. He was up for 25 hours
Jesus.
and he streamed for 22 or 23 of those.
Jeez.
So
Don't kill the child.
I'm not, but he does want to be on the podcast. So I think the first one that we lift our spoiler embargo, we'll have him on.
Okay.
But the big problem there that was kind of annoying and everything like that is I don't know, with him going to sleep and whatnot, I was like, I don't know what we're going to play on Thursday, because usually we're going to start playing on Thursday, and I'm playing Friday, I'm playing Breach with Pixel. So it's kind of coming down to Tuesday and Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday will be KH, will be Kingdom Hearts, and we'll be running through stuff on that.
Saturday.
Yeah, Wednesday and Saturday.
You said Wednesday and Thursday.
I thought I said Wednesday and Saturday.
I might have heard something wrong.
You probably heard something wrong.
Okay.
Because I accidentally said Tuesday, but Tuesday's my birthday, so that's why that's the only thing that's significant at all. Huh.
Birthday!
Yay, I'm older.
Yay!
Yeah, that's how I feel. So, I don't know, like, I don't have... It's really hard to do this podcast right now because, like, I would love to do a section, like, if we get to the point where we can do this much more professionally or whatnot, or...
Us professional?
Right?
You're talking about the wrong
or we have
podcast.
more time where we do, like, especially where I don't have to be at work so early in the morning. I wouldn't mind record. Like, we record these usually somewhere during the day. This is probably the latest recording session we've had. But
or speaking working, as long as you don't have to do it early in the morning, I don't have to be at work late at night.
exactly. I would like to do I'd like to start doing them later at like 11 o'clock, but I can't stay up till midnight. That's my only problem because the Union change stuff, the Union Cross stuff comes out at about 11.
Yeah.
And so...
And as much as we do stuff with Union Cross, we want to let the community know, hey, this is what's going on this week.
We want to let you guys know what's going on with that and stuff, like, because there's really no KH news other than people finding all these things and the secret ending and stuff like that. Like, yeah, we could do in-depth analysi.
We can theory craft on more stuff.
And theory craft on stuff, but like we have to wait until we feel comfortable for the community because where spoilers are out there.
We don't want to be the ones.
We don't want to be the ones, like, I don't want to have to put in my title, hey, spoilers.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just one of those things of, like, I don't want anybody to have to miss out on our podcast because they're worried about spoilers. And I think giving you guys 3 weeks or so, even if you only can play 10 hours a week, you should be able to be done by the time we get ready to start talking about it.
Or even after it's been 3 weeks, most of social media will be like, all right, everyone should have had a chance by now.
Yes.
To even if it's not beaten the game, but to at least get glimpses of, hey, this is what's actually
going on. Well, and I mean, with Pixel, like, he was having a family day playing Kingdom Hearts.
Ooh, nice.
And it's the first time he really got to sit down and do it, because he was stuck in Twilight Town for the longest time. Like, because he just didn't have time to play. Every time he went to go sit down and play, his wife would fall asleep, or something would come up with the kids, or the dog, you know. Stuff would go on, and he'd be like, oh, I can't, and so he'd have to go do something.
Okay.
So they had a family day today where they were just playing. Apparently his kids were farther than him, though, so. Hopefully he got to play his save file. I tried not to bug him too much after he told me, hey, I'm playing with my family today. So I was like, okay. I'm not going to bug you, so.
Good deck, Pixel.
Yeah, right? I also feel bad because, like, I know how much Sando and I promote our Union party and try to do stuff on there and trying to be the people. I have not done anything in 2 weeks.
I haven't really done this week.
Literally since Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, I have not felt a want to play Union Cross, which really stinks.
I'll say something going on. I don't know how much longer this will be available. I can check the...
I don't know either, but the 129, 100...
No, not that.
Well, I was going to say log in for that, though.
Yeah.
Because they did they did 129,000 jewels. You got 14,000 jewels. Or sorry, 12,000 jewels.
12,000 jewels.
Yay. My
Because
brain
of-
keeps like flipping it, even though I know it's right. So you got about 13,000 jewels just for the KH release. So that's really good to do. I bought the KH3 Riku avatar board and spent some money for myself for my birthday. I bought like a bunch of jewels and I did some summons. I still haven't gotten anything. There's a falling price banner for KH3, two of them going on, one with Vanitas and then one with Riku, Sora, and Young Xehanort. The one with Sora, Riku, and Young Xehanort ends in 9 days.
Mm-hmm.
The Vanitas one ends a couple days after that. I want to say it's like 12 days, roughly, somewhere around there. And that's from the day before you guys will get to see this podcast. But yeah, so it's not. There's a lot going on. There was the Illustrated Titus this past week.
Mm-hmm. Currently, I found what I was looking for. There is a campaign going on until the middle of next week. So if you are listening to this, and you're listening to it as soon as
You got till like Wednesday. You got 2 days.
You have no, not this week. Next
Oh,
week.
next week. So you got about a week and
You
a
have
half.
until the 13th.
Okay.
Well, we'll go about the 14th. 13th, 14th, depending on what time zone you're
Yeah.
in. It is 100%. It says, make new friends, recruit new players to your party, and receive a platinum ticket, which is used for evolving your special attacks.
Yes. Because you can actually give people supernovas with that.
If you have at least one new player in your party at the end of the campaign period, all party members receive one platinum ticket, which are, like, you can only get those from events.
Platinum tickets, yeah, they're very hard to get right now. They made gold tickets a lot easier to get.
Mm-hmm.
And silver tickets a lot easier to get. Which all that's for leveling up your super attack and making it at a higher tier, which just makes higher damage output.
It does say that this is only available for players who created their account after they're considered new if their accounts have been created after November 2018.
Yeah.
If you switch parties, you will not get it. So saying, like, if you leave one party and go to another to try and exploit it, you don't get it. You won't get it at all.
Oh, that stinks.
I
mean, that stinks for the people too that are like just trying to like change parties.
Yeah, it'll work for. So it's like saying if you got it beforehand and then you switch to another.
Oh, okay.
Only the people in that party. You have to be a part of there long enough to do all the stuff. And what was this other thing? Use the community feature and 3x mode to recruit party members or join the party.
I also say I don't like that. I don't like the community aspect to it.
But
I mean, I
that's
do and I don't. Like, I also never really feel super great about, like, forums built by a company for their game, because I feel like
if it's built into the games, in certain ways, it can work. In this case,
it's just a spot that's not where you can usually go easily.
It's
so
weird because it is a mobile game.
Yeah. Well, and like a lot of times, I'll be honest, like, I prefer to sit down and, like, not... I would rather use Reddit than use Bethesda's forums. Why? Because I feel like if I put it on Bethesda's forums, they have more of a want or a need or a inclination to delete it without it ever being seen.
But this is Squeenix. Same thing.
Exactly. Like, we've waited how many years? And Nomura said, I'll delay it even more if you guys keep whining.
But here's the real question. Who was the traitor?
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, there you go. I mean, that's the only spoiler in that is the fact that you still don't know.
But you really know it's Square's fault for everything.
Yeah, no, we were looking up, so we were talking about who was the traitor from back cover, from the Union stuff, and we were like, who's the traitor? And so as we were like looking through it all and like trying to figure out who the traitor was,
the number one thing
the
was
number
a Reddit
one
post,
thing was a voted post, and it just went Squeenix, and I was like, they're like, Square's the traitor, and I was like,
you're not wrong.
you're not wrong.
That's not what
I
we're
love
looking
you,
for.
Square, but
Why have you forsaken us?
no, it was bad. So, but still fun.
So first impressions. You
First
go first.
impressions.
You streamed it all this
Oh
week.
my gosh, I streamed so much Kingdom Hearts.
You
I'm
lost
sad.
your
I
mind.
actually lost 2 worlds of VOD footage.
What?
I lost.
How?
So, what's the world you go to after Arendelle?
Alright, so after, in the order of level-wise,
I mean, sure. We'll go with that.
because it was Monsters Inc. and then Arendelle.
And then it was Pirates after Arendelle, wasn't it?
And then it was Pirates in Sanford and Tokyo.
Okay. So, I don't think I lost Monsters. I might have lost Monsters, but I definitely lost Arendelle. And the beginning of Pirates.
Interesting.
Because Pirates makes you do like an hour's worth of work before you can even find a save point.
No. Well.
Yep. It was for me. I failed that boss fight the first time.
Okay.
Which really annoyed me because it was a really tough boss
I
fight.
forgot about that boss fight.
It was a pain.
It wasn't that bad for me.
It was rough on me. But then again, like, whenever I see fly mechanics, I like to use both sticks to be able to look around and still drive, and you can't do that. You can't do that at all. It'll disorient you way too much. That's probably why I died the first time. That, and then I'd go to the airbox and they'd turn me around and tell me I had to go back the other way and then leave me completely vulnerable.
I never got that bad. I mean, I never got that far out.
I wasn't even that far out. I was like, okay.
Huh.
I'm literally just chasing down the giant dragon, and I can't chase it. Sounds cool.
Interesting.
Although, I will say, the best world to grind on is probably Pirates. Because you can one-shot 95% of the boats,
Yes.
of the ships.
The boat mechanic was interesting.
I liked it. It's the one I've liked the most out of every ship combat I've ever been forced to have to deal with.
Mm-hmm. And for me, that's only like 2 games.
For me, it's...
I didn't play Assassin's Black Flag.
Yeah, see, me, it's 3. So it was AC3, AC4, and this. 4, I only played about 10 hours of because I hated it.
That's fair.
I hated it so much.
It was a different game entirely what I played that had ships in it. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't pleasant.
I really liked flight mechanics, because usually flight and ship mechanics are fairly similar in some aspects. But because they can also be like, they're either loved or hated.
Mm-hmm.
Star Citizen's really nice. Like, once you get used to their flight mechanics, really good, in my opinion. We also played different builds.
Yeah, I also can't do flight games.
Well, no, I mean, I know you can. I'm just saying, like, it was actually not... Once you got used to the mechanics, it wasn't bad. I think No Man's Skies was probably the best ship flight mechanics I've ever played, though. Theirs wasn't terrible. But that's not what I'm supposed to be talking about at all.
Yeah.
First impressions, I loved it. There's definitely some parts where I was getting ticked off, so I got really nitpicky.
Yeah.
One of them being the cherry flan.
Which the flans are after you... They're a
minigame. They're like the mushrooms. That's all we're gonna throw out. You get them after you beat a world.
Yeah.
But that's all I really want to go on with them.
I will say, if you're going and you're looking for them, beat the game first. It'll be
beat the game and it'll be easier to find them. But the cherry flan really ticked me off. So it's bad. If you guys aren't prepared for some annoyance, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
I was
just remembering which one the cherry was.
Yeah, and then I got a little annoyed at a couple other fights. One of them I can't wait to talk about when we lift the embargo, but it's in the final hour of the game.
Okay.
So I don't really want to talk about it. But all in all, I ended up giving it, and a bunch of people asked, I ended up giving it 9.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Easy 9.5 out of 10. Right now, the way I see it is that it is my game of the year. Now that might change with Anthem coming out, but I think that Kingdom Hearts is probably going to be my game of the year. It won't be the game of the year. No, it easily will not be.
It won't be worldwide.
It won't be worldwide, but
it'll be top.
For everybody that asked me, they're like, "Was it worth the wait?" No.
It could have been.
It could have been more. There was better. The world where the worlds were twice as long, not getting a second visit and having less of them than KH2, less than or equal to in KH2, was disappointing. But it leaves room for DLC, which is fine. I think the spot for me, in all honesty, which I'm not a huge fan of the idea of DLC in the first place unless it's free. I like free DLC, but we've waited, it was announced 10 years ago.
13.
It was not announced 13 years ago. 13 years ago is when KH2 came out.
Correct.
It was announced 3 years after that.
Correct.
So it was announced 10 years ago-ish. 10-ish years ago.
The only reason I say 13 is when you pause in KH2, the E flips around and becomes a 3.
I mean...
And that's when.
But here's the
paused.
thing.
That's the only thing.
Here's the thing.
That.
You know how much foreshadowing gets thrown in by freaking Nomura? Like,
he does
in all honesty, that could have just been an aesthetic choice that they wanted for you to be like, it's something fun to see while they're in the pause menu.
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of the letters are bouncy. So where I'm not saying that you're wrong, like, it was spoiled that it was going to come 13 years ago, and we've waited for 13 years, because, Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in December of 2005.
Yeah, it did.
So, like, we've been waiting for just about 13 years, where I understand where people are like that. We've really only waited, it was announced 10 years ago, but we've really only waited about 4 or 5 years for a new game. If you didn't play the side games, I hate calling them side games, but if you didn't play the other games in the series, you only played the 1 and 2, then yes, you waited for 10 years. And I don't know, I don't feel like it really lived up to the height of a 10-year wait. But if I think about it as, well, it's only about 4 years after Dream Drop, which came out in, 2015?
Yeah.
So I was like, if you look at it from that perspective of, well, it was 24 years after Dream Drop, it lives up to every expectation, and it blows them out of the water for how good of and how beautiful of a game it is.
Oh, yeah.
But voice lines were done being recorded in 2016.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the voice line, so Goofy's voice actor,
That's what he had said. He said it was done in 2016.
I thought it was 15.
2016.
But still, he was like, I'm finished with everything that has to do with Kingdom Hearts 3. So he was expecting it to be coming out later 2016.
Later 2016, maybe early 2017.
Even he didn't know. He was just doing the...
They just did their lines.
Yeah.
But I will say, waiting about 4 years... 100% worth it. If I was a KH2 player and I never played any of the other games, I only played 1 and 2.
Which even in that aspect, the game does a degree of actually telling you, hey, this is actually what went on. It does, because you can access the stuff from the main menu.
You can.
And from the stuff from the main menu goes through every single
Yeah,
game.
you could look through the archives in that aspect.
I mean,
I will say the game itself,
basic game, it
does not, like, there's a lot that it doesn't tell you, like,
yeah,
you'll see me sit there and, like,
it's true.
You'll probably notice it in San Fran, Tokyo, but one of the major enemies in San Fran, Tokyo, and I don't want to say too much about it. If you haven't gotten there, it will look familiar. It will look familiar.
Okay.
And if I'll tell you after if you're really curious. I don't want to say it on podcast.
That's fair.
But it does look familiar. But in that regard of I've only waited for 4 years, great game. 9.5 out of 10. Easy game of the year for me. Reignited all of my love for a series that I've been in love with for a while.
Oh yeah.
So I think the only thing is, makes me sad that there's a lack of reaction commands.
I'm okay with that, honestly.
I'm okay, but I'm also sad by it.
I'm sad there's not stuff with nobodies.
Yeah.
That's my biggest gripe.
Well, and that's the thing, though. But, like, you lose all of the reaction commands.
I'm okay with it not with other stuff.
Yeah. See, I liked them. I thought they were fun.
I did, too, but it was just too much engaged.
It could be,
It really was.
But...
Combat in this is really nice.
Combat was super fluid. I love the form changes.
And the form changes are all based around Keyblade.
Yes.
Some of them have 2, some of them only have 1.
Like,
the ones that only have 1 are kind of OP.
Yeah, I'll throw that out there, like, Ever After, which is the one you get from Tangled.
Which is
which was shown in some of the trailers, because I remember seeing it.
It is a magic Keyblade.
It is so cool to use.
If you
guys haven't dodged while using it, dodge while using it. Trust me, you're going to love it so much more than you already do.
It's one of those that if you understand the other mechanics in the game, goes with it so well.
Oh, it's so nice. And then
I would also say, speaking of in-game mechanics, use Hero's Origin, which is the first Keyblade you
I
get.
don't
which is,
like Hero's Origin.
At first, I didn't either. It's because it's
I'll
a
probably-
defensive shield.
Yeah, I'll probably like it
Oh,
trying some other stuff out with it, and trying it out. But
It's one of those.
it was one of those that I did not like when I first started it. My favorite Keyblade though in the game, as of this moment, it's probably going to change once I unlock Ultima after seeing it. Whew! If you guys have not seen Ultima, it's
pretty
beautiful, and its form changes beautiful.
And I know what you're gonna say. It's the one you get from.
It's the one you get from Pirates.
Yep.
I love the one you get from Pirates. It is my favorite blade because I love its form changes. The 2 form changes it has, amazing. The final it has for its second form change helped me beat like 2 of the flans. So that was awesome too. I love it. I love that Keyblade a lot. Pat had 7 hours on that Keyblade alone in gameplay. I had 6 at the time I was done.
Jeez.
And I have more than that now.
See, I haven't. I just unlocked that one today, so I haven't played around with it. But since the way I'm playing is more magic based, all the Keyblades that are like, hey, this is made for strength. The only one for strength that I've actively used, which is Favorable Deputy, which is from
Yeah.
Toy Story. The only reason I use that is it's got chance of dropping items.
It does. It has a higher chance of dropping items.
Because
And it's actually you're actually told to use it for like grinding for Ultima and stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, outside of that, I don't really care about any of the strength ones. I will say my favorite so far is not Ever After.
No.
It is Shooting Star or Star Seeker.
Star Seeker is very fun to use. I got tired of Star Seeker very
I
quickly.
will say, in the beginning of the game, it is not a good Keyblade.
I felt the opposite. I felt like the farther I went into the game, the less good it was for me.
Usually it's the other way around. It's
And-
for that specific.
And that one, I felt like this is amazing at the beginning, and I fell off of it because once I had Ever After for me was just it hit all the range that Star Seeker does.
Well, see, for me, why I like Star Seeker is because easily Star Seeker, the form change for that is guns. They're called double arrow guns.
Yeah.
Which it's the quickest form, essentially, because you can just jump up instead of dashing. You can just shoot, and you should go faster than any of them. So it's on the level up there with what Wisdom was in KH2.
You want to know why I don't like it?
But
Because of Wisdom form, probably.
the biggest reason I love it is because your normal attack, you're just shooting regular magic arrows. So depending on what your magic level is, depends on how strong those arrows are.
Yeah.
Even though it should be considered a physical attack, it's not.
Well, I don't think that the arrow should be considered a physical attack.
Well,
just like I don't think that the dodge mechanic from Ever After should be counted as physical. It should be they should both be magical.
But the biggest reason I like Star Seeker is because the arrows you shoot. You can shoot fire, and they're all fire. You can shoot blizzard, and they're all blizzard. You can shoot arrow, and they're all arrow. It depends on what magic you use, and the reason.
See, I haven't shot any magic with them.
And if you, that was the only thing I used in Arendelle, because I used all fire, and it destroyed every enemy. And that also works for the cannon, the second form of it, where you just shoot one giant shot. It works for that as well. So the reason a lot of people don't like it is because in the beginning you only have fire. That's the only thing it would really be useful with. But once you have all your magic leveled up to the max it can be, and you use it, it's devastating.
Oh, and I mean, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think just for
It's
me,
also,
like...
It's really good on Caribbean because I got it underwater.
Yeah.
And you can do underwater arrow, that's broken.
I will say, I wish that I liked arrow in this game.
It's
because
okay.
I'm sure it's more useful, but, like, I do not like arrow in this game.
And see,
I like water. The reason I like water
and I don't
is
like
because it actually acts a little bit like KH1 arrow when it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And so before it gets launched off, if somebody hits you, you don't take damage and it explodes on them.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot.
And see, with arrow, it's kind of the same. Whereas you can, if you're not targeting an enemy and you don't have magic to lock on, you can pop arrow and it pops right on top of you. So if any enemy is rushing towards you, it acts as a reflect and it bounces them up in the air. and then you can
See, I haven't seen it bounce anybody up in the air other than me, and then I'm like, dang it, now I'm up in the air and I don't want to be here.
and then you can jump.
You can do the
flow motion.
motion.
But it only activates if you jump into it. If you run into it, it shouldn't.
Well,
yeah.
that's not how lucky I was.
It's not supposed to, unless the only reason it should do that is if it's off the ground.
I would literally start it and I'd be up in the air. I'd be like, why?
Interesting.
So, but my most used magic was between Fire and Thundaga. Well, Fire and Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Just beautiful. Thundaza,
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, you get use of Thundaza with, I think,
Pirates.
Pirate's Keyblade as a grand magic skill. Oh! So useful.
Mm-hmm.
Broken. Infinitely broken when you get to that point. And I only say it's broken because it's AoE damage. Its AoE is so good. Whereas Fire's really good for single target damage.
Also, you know the other effect that lightning does to enemies, right?
It gives them a slight paralysis effect.
No, it weakens them.
Oh, okay.
It makes if you get shocked, if you notice around your icon for your health, the static around you, it means you're weaker to every hit you can take during that short period of time. It's not just because there are some enemies that are like immune to lightning, but they can still get the static around them, which makes them weak.
Okay.
So if you attack an enemy that is
Yeah, nothing's worse than forgetting that you're around the yellow marinas or whatever
Mm-hmm.
they are, and next thing you know, you are used to running in and lightning triple lightning,
Mm-hmm.
lightning.
But you can still shock them and it'll take the attack,
Yeah.
and then you can shoot them with fire and they die.
See,
in one shot.
I'll jump in and I'm like, oh yeah,
Lightning, thunder.
thunder, or Thundaga,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything's dead, and then there's just these two little jerks chasing me down, and I'm like, leave me alone.
I hate the water ones because they'll snipe you from across.
They
the
do.
map.
They were really bad for me when we were in monsters.
Oh god.
Because you get to rail ride, and when you rail ride, these things pop up,
Mm-hmm.
and they happen in multiple worlds where this happens, and the water ones will pop up, and they just deflect every single bit of damage that you throw at them, and they still hit you, and you're like, boy.
So, I'm surprised you didn't see the fire ones as often in monsters.
I saw the fire ones were dead before they were a
Yeah,
problem.
that's probably why.
The water ones were not.
Each world has more of those little guys than others, but
Yeah.
each world has all of them.
Yeah.
I
noticed there was a heavy amount of the Thunder ones in Arendelle.
Yes.
I did notice that. I was like, this is really heavy with lightning, which stinks because
It's because
of Larxene
It's
and everything like
Larxene.
that. And
Also, taking a side note for a second, did you enjoy the Nobodies?
I did enjoy the new Nobodies.
The only ones that are not new, which are the Gamblers, which are from Luxord.
Yes, I enjoyed.
I really enjoyed Larxene.
Without getting too super in depth with them,
But they suck so much.
they sucked so bad.
They were so nice. That was a good design. I
They
can't
were
say anything
they
about
were comparable to dancers to me.
it. Ooh, no, not that bad.
They were for me because every time I'd go to attack, they'd be in their invulnerable
No.
lightning ball state, and I was like, I hate you so much.
Marley's ones were worse, dude.
They weren't for me.
Mine kept going in the ground and attacking me from. They were the assassins, that 100%.
Yeah,
And that's. I
I didn't have problems with his. I had no problems with his. His they'd like to go around the entire map
Yeah.
14 times. I'd be like, okay, this is getting old. But once they stopped, I was good. The other ones, oh man, they were.
I think the Marleys, Nobodies are the reason I'm a big fire person.
Yeah. Fire was fun.
Oh,
I
yeah.
liked using it. And its homing and tracking is amazing.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, all of them have homing. The Blizzard shots have homing as well.
Oh, okay. Well,
As long as you have Magic Lock on there.
yeah. See, that's the thing.
That was the first
You don't-
thing I put on.
I don't even know if I have it on or not. Although I think some of the things are going to be interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of speedruns running magic safety, MP safety, which is an ability.
I'm not using Magic Safety.
I didn't either. I felt like I would have made it too easy.
I probably misread it, but it doesn't sound good to me.
See, it sounded fine to me. It sounded good for beginners.
I looked down, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to turn that on.
Yeah, no, it was one of the way it works is it like stops you from attempting to cast magic.
Outside of Cure, it's like Cure can be used, and Links can be used, which are something entirely in itself. But other
And then
than
you
that,
can use well, you can use the other magic,
but
but it won't let you run out of your MP.
Oh, so you can't use it as a final. Oh.
You can't use it to break your bar.
Okay, that's not bad at all.
But I feel
I
like
was
that
thinking
takes
different.
part of the challenge. At least that's how I understood it. I think that takes part of the challenge out. I'm gonna be honest. I think that takes part of the challenge out.
I didn't. Okay, I haven't used it, so I don't know.
I was watching somebody who was getting ready to start their speed run pathing.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching that and I was like, there. So it was Spike. I was watching
I was
Spike.
gonna say it's probably Spike.
And then BB came in and was like, "Oh, you should try this." And then like, you're like, "Oh," and then everyone's like, "BB," and he's like, "You person with the random name." He's like, "You used to speedrun Kingdom Hearts, didn't you?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I know who you are." And I'm like, and he didn't care about anybody else in chat. I was just like, "Okay, I mean, whatever. I'm watching here, so."
All right, sweet. Thanks, Spike.
It was well, it wasn't Spike. It was BB.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cool to watch him start doing that stuff, but they were talking about the MP safety and how you might want to turn it on because then it's one less thing you have to pay attention to because you just can't cast other magic until your bar runs out.
Okay.
It's something that, because you can only use magic that runs out your bar to run out your bar.
Mm-hmm.
Which puts you in a position where, yeah, you might not be able to use that thunder, but it definitely lets you use a cure. I think it's really useless until you get cure in the first place, which is until like the second or third world.
No, it's not that late. It's the end of Olympus.
I don't know. I can't remember if I had it by the end of Olympus or not.
I feel like it was the end of Olympus. I feel like it was the last fight.
It might have been. It might have been what you got from Olympus, and I didn't realize that I had it until I was at the third world, which would have been Tangled.
Yeah, third world would have been Tangled.
Well, it's either Tangled or you can go to Toy Box. I went to the opposite one.
I went to Toy Box.
No, I went to Toy Box. That's where I went first.
Because I had it in the beginning of Toy Box.
Yeah, I think I had it there, but I don't remember when I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't put it on until I was like, man, I'm going through so many potions. I looked and I went, oh, I have new customers. When did I get Cure?
I haven't used a single item.
I did.
Yeah.
I was also under-leveled going into fight the final boss.
Yeah, you were.
I used a lot. I used a lot of high potions. I was only under-leveled by 4 levels. The combat level of that area is 42.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I was 38, but
Interesting.
I'm now 46, and part of me wants to go back and see how that fight goes again, and I'd probably destroy him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just because my damage output and health pool and defense is way up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Do you have any major first impressions that you want to throw in? Because we didn't we've been going back and forth, but we didn't really explicitly ask you what yours were.
Yeah. I really Keyblades I've enjoyed. Form changes I've enjoyed. Links I haven't really touched.
I think I used Wreck-It Ralph once and Bow Wow twice.
I've used Bow Wow a couple of times. Once I realized what Wreck-It Ralph's was, I had to go back and reread the tutorial on what that was.
I know how to use it.
It's,
I just don't like it.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I haven't used Simba's and I haven't used Ariel's yet. Ariel I got today, so.
You're gonna be getting another one soon.
I can know what that one is.
Yeah, you get to see a good old friend back in San Fran, Tokyo.
Wait, which friend? The same one in 1 and 2?
Your favorite one to use in
Oh,
Cage
yes!
2.
Yes, I forgot about him.
He's a lot different,
Yeah, I know, yes, I forgot about it.
but you get to see him again.
I'm happy with that. But no, Ariel's is sort of like trappy. Whereas you attack your enemy and you can put a spout, and then when
it's a trap. You want to know how it's a trap? It's a trap like Atlantica was a trap in Cage 2.
I'm like, where is this
I
going?
still would have rather done Cage 2 Atlantica for that Iridium Plus grind than the Cherry Flan. I said that last night, and somebody was like, "No, I don't know about that."
I don't know about
They're
that.
like, I don't know. I was like, "Please, keeping a beat's a heck of a lot easier than driving this dang thing."
I don't know about that.
I was like, bet. And he's like, well, it was still off by a 16th note. I was like, yeah, but you knew it, so it was okay to time for it. Like, it wasn't hard.
Yeah.
It was time consuming. It was half an hour of your time to get that whole world done. I agree. But it sure beats the 45 minutes I spent trying to do this stinking cherry.
Hey. I'm not going to be as bad as you, so, I mean, shush.
You're still going to, like, go back and be like, I hate it.
No.
It's just like, it's like driving a boat.
As a person who has crashed a boat before, I'm okay with this. That's a story for another time.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was a fun time. Going back to Cage 3.
I have no idea what we're going to talk about next week, by the way. I'm thinking about it.
Chaos.
So I'm going to throw this out there for you guys. If you guys think of anything for us to talk about, let us know, because, like, we can't talk spoilers yet. So, like, shoot us a message over on Twitter, tag us in a post or something like that. Let us know something you guys would like us to talk about, because we're pretty much just gonna be sitting there like, and I'm worried that if we skip a week, then it's gonna become something that becomes a constant. We'll end up skipping.
We won't skip.
Like, so I don't want to skip next week, even if that ends up being that we just kind of talk about our own lives and whatnot. But let us know, because
don't worry. Between this time and next week, I will have broken something in the game. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
I'll find another Out of Bounds.
Yeah. Oh, please do. That'd be fun.
I would love. Well,
I doubt we will.
I already told you about one that I kind of found by accident.
Well, you found a trigger skip, which
is great.
Would be really useful for speedrun.
But at the same time, you can skip cutscenes.
Yeah.
It's useful.
But you skip a loading screen too.
No, I didn't. I just skipped the cutscene.
Oh, yeah.
I went over it and I didn't get the stuff that I needed to. It was actually. It
yeah.
wasn't. Okay. So what happened in Arendelle Frozen World is, I won't say what happens and whatnot.
He got way too upset though. It was like, that's it, I'm jumping off a mountain.
Yeah, there was too much stuff going on. Like, you start up at a high mountain, you're supposed to go down really low, fight enemies, and keep going, get down to the town. And I'm like, no, I have this double jump and I have this extra glide, so I'm gonna do it. So enough button mashing, and I looked down and said, you can't really see the ground anymore, was how high up I was. And it started pushing me down.
Wait,
like,
did you say you had glide?
No. Well, the air glide, not
okay.
the actual glide.
No, you said that, and I was like, you get glide until a certain... Like, I know the exact point you get it, because you get it for beating a certain boss fight.
Yeah.
And I was like, how does he have glide?
Okay, it's called air slide. Right?
Yeah, the air slide, yeah. No, I just wanted to make sure. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I didn't have glide in Arendelle. Man, that made Arendelle so much easier to fly through.
But I just air slide and button mash that. And it got to a point where I hit a wall and I was kind of sloping down. I'm like, alright, so it probably wants
to hit the top of the air box.
I hit that and I'm like, alright, I don't really want to keep doing this. And I still had a double jump, so I double jumped over that and I went over it. I realized I went over an invisible wall.
You air recovered over an invisible wall.
I went over an invisible wall and I skipped a cutscene trigger that's supposed to give you a party member.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that, so I just kept going and I went over, because I had the map and I knew where I was going. I hit the loading zone, and the next thing you know, once I got in the next area, there was a bit of a cutscene and I had a party member and I was confused. I was kind of scared. I'm like, what happened?
Where did this person come from?
I paused the game, and I went and looked online. I'm like, all right, where did this person come from? I watched the cutscene. I'm like, oh,
that makes much more sense.
That makes much more sense, because when I got to the loading zone to go into the next area, it pushed me down to the ground. It wouldn't let me go from the air.
Yeah.
So when I hit the ground, there were no enemies. Because I didn't go through that loading zone, and I didn't go through that trigger, and I didn't get that party member, no enemies were spawning until I went in the next area. But with that being said, there are ways to glitch the game.
Yeah, there are ways to glitch around things.
It wouldn't be useful for a speed run, because as soon as you get into a cutscene, it would be like a 2-second save.
2 seconds is all that's needed to become a world record holder.
Sheesh. But it's if you could choose know when the triggers are and the lines are for stuff and all that, it would be so much different.
Yeah, it would.
I mean, they'll probably be able to figure that out once somebody emulates the game onto PC.
I doubt that'll happen anytime soon, though.
I also agree, but I know that will happen because
Well, the thing is, look at it though. Like, look at games that have been out for a couple years, and like, we still don't have an English final. Like, I'll put it this way: we don't have an English final mix version. Of Kingdom Hearts on PC. The only one you can ever find, because they don't even have PS3 or PS4 emulators usually out. Like, I don't think I've seen a PS3 or a PS4 emulator. So, I definitely haven't seen a PS4.
Yeah, no.
PS3, I can believe it.
PS3 I have. PS4
But
I have.
PS4 I've never seen. I've never seen an Xbox One emulator.
It's because it's all Blu-ray.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. Like, I could see somebody pulling all the data just to see the things.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see them making it emulatable.
The only reason I say with that for...
Or turning it into a ROM.
Yeah, the only thing I say for KH3 coming to PC is because there was a group of people who did KH2 to PC, and they went into essentially developer mode, and they saw where all the cutscene triggers were.
Yeah.
Because to see if they could break it, and they weren't able to because it was so finely done. Because of where your hitbox was in KH2. Because it was based off where your hitbox was, not where your character is, which was weird. So essentially, you could have gotten your hitbox pushed off of Sora, and Sora could keep walking, your hitbox is back here. That would never happen, because as soon as you go through a loading zone, it would reconnect.
It reconnects it, yeah.
But that would only happen against NPCs that would push against you. And usually in those situations, the next area you go to is a fight, which would reset that. But that was... They were able to see stuff like that, which makes me wonder, would they be able to see that if they emulated people?
They would. I just don't think they'll end up doing it.
I don't see it anytime soon.
No, I don't see it in the next 3 or 4 years.
Maybe 3 or 4 years, but not in the 2 years.
Like, if they come up with an emulator for a PS4 or an Xbox One, maybe. But it's gonna be a couple years after that happens.
Yeah.
And I don't see that in the next 2 or 3 years because I just don't see the demand for it from people as much as other things, you know? Oh, Pat just shared a tweet with me. He's like, I'm just trying to talk to the Moogle, and the person set off one of the attractions. And I was like, I totally didn't do that. Like 4 times last night.
Speaking of Moogle,
he's so fluffy!
I enjoy Moogle in a lot of aspects. Different worlds you go to, changes the way he looks.
He's so fluffy.
So if you go to Caribbean, he's got like dirt all over him, which I love. But I've always had an issue talking about
I
him.
miss some of that. Because usually he's just a hologram.
I love Moogle.
But
I love doing stuff in Moogle.
I will say, it's, you have any other final thoughts on this?
A couple of issues I've had with things here and there, but it's just minor things like when making small movement changes, like when you need to talk to Moogle or talk to actual people. At any point throughout the game, you can stop and let Donald and Goofy go idle, or other party members with you go idle, and then you can talk with them. Any point in the game, you can talk to them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's kind of needed for stuff to understand where you need to go, which is both good and annoying.
One time I went to go talk to the Moogle in Twilight Town, and I ran up his building, and I was like, that because I was like just a little off to the side, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. At first I thought, oh, sweet, you can do a lot of wall running. You can do a lot of parkour. This is awesome. And then it got to, like, once you get to Caribbean, everything is runnable. Run up a wall. I'm like, oh, this is boring now. Like, this is kind of a pain in the butt. Two things.
The turning on it's kind of a pain for me, because it either is a hard turn, or the soft turn's so small, there's no in between. You can't go diagonal. It's like a small curve or a massive turn.
Yeah.
So.
But two things I really enjoy about KH3. One, everyone is voice acted. Every single person you talk to has a voice actor. It's not, oh, there's a little dialogue, here's a bubble that pops up. Every single person has a...
Yeah. But the bubble is also still there.
Yes.
So you can read it if you don't need to listen to the line.
I just love that so much, because all the random people you can talk to in Twilight Town, I love that.
Yeah.
And, it's just a minor thing, but it just made me smile. One of them is kind of spoilery, and I can't mention it. It happens, like, in the first 5 hours of the game, and I feel like that's Nomura just making fun of Kingdom Hearts in itself, which I feel like you know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
It was really funny.
That one got on. That one, I was like, really, Nomura? Really? We're going to go there? And I was a little upset that we never actually saw the proper thing when, yeah.
Until later.
I never saw it. Never
No,
popped up for me.
Yeah, it pops up.
Either that or I just missed it because I was streaming at Microsoft, so like,
yeah.
it was just one of those things. I might have missed it, but I was just like...
Yeah. But the other thing I really love about KH3, KH2, very different time zone with technology and whatnot. KH3, you get a phone and Sora's like, what is this? You get a smartphone and Sora's like, I don't know how to use this, please help me.
Yeah, it was really funny because somebody was like, man, Sora's Goku dumb. I was like, no, he's dumber than Goku. What are you talking about?
Like,
Goku knows how to, yeah, Goku knows basic math and reading, which, yeah, people say, well, yeah, but that's basic. Well, yeah, but I can look at 95% of the American population and be like, no, you don't know how to do anything higher than algebra, which is basic math.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he can drive a car, he's a dad, you know, and he's got a massive, really good battle sense. Sora's got an alright battle sense. But, like, it just cracked me up because somebody was, like, wanting to make that argument. I'm like, the kid's 17.
Yeah, he's conflicted with everything, which I feel like KH3 in a nutshell is Sora's conflicted with everyone and what he does, and it hurts.
Oh my gosh.
But there's a certain scene once you get to Twilight Town, and there's a scene that goes on with Sora, Hayner, Pence, and Olette, and they're with the computer, and Sora's like, I don't do computers.
I don't do computers.
That's all on you guys.
Pence, you take it over.
And it's like, I saw that, I'm like, oh, this is going to be
No,
interesting.
I thought it was really funny because one of the things that Pence did, he was just like, there's something serious going on, and he just hops out and he goes, hey, look at me! And I'm like, oh, look, it's Sando!
So that's what that tweet meant, dang it! I got you that today.
And I was like, oh my gosh, it's Sando! I have to tweet this.
Oh no. I was like...
I was trying to find a good gif of Pence, but there isn't any.
Because I went back and watched the VOD, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, because I didn't see that, because in the VOD, it skipped for me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't see what he's talking about. And...
Then you just heard me talking about.
And when I got to it today, I'm like, oh no, that's like me.
I was sitting there, I was like, oh dang it, that means I'm Hayner. But not really, you're like a mix of both of them.
No, I'd say I'm a mix between Pence and Olette.
Olette's a oof.
Yeah.
Oof. But, anyway, any other final things you have to say?
Dusks.
Imprisoning me.
No.
All that I see. Okay. And
Dusks are squiggly tentacles.
so
From
they're
that
the
one
same-
scene.
So they're the same thing from Kingdom. Oh,
Yeah.
that scene.
What is this?
What is this?
It protected me?
Yeah. Oh man.
That's all I have to say.
Alright, well, I don't have anything more to add. If you guys come up with anything that we should talk about, let us know over on Twitter. Either Mind of Kill or Sando153.
Yeah.
I usually have the links in the description below. But that all being said, I hope you guys have a great day. Stay awesome, do great things. And we'll see you guys next week. Adios.
See ya.